Hello, you are on the Alice Reddit Stories channel. More than 90% watch my videos without a subscription. Subscribe to the channel so we always stay in touch. Enjoy watching. Story 1. After 10 years of being disabled from brain surgery, I am going on my first job interview today. I was told after having my left temporal and occipital lobes removed in 2011 that I would most likely never be able to hold a job, let alone raise my children. It was very hard because I had to relearn a lot of things, but I finally started college in 2015. I was on the lowest level possible with classes, so it took me 2.5 years without skipping a semester to get my associate's degree. I had a 3.1 GPA. I got my bachelor's degree in just a year and a half, getting a 3.7 GPA. I was able to get my kids back 2 years after surgery and even took in a foster child that I've adopted. So today is a big step for me and I'm very nervous. Can I please get some wishes for good luck? I went Monday morning to my job interview feeling somewhat confident. Most of the things in the job description were things that I was familiar with. I could do invoices, accounts receivables, payables, calculations, etc. However, once I was in the room with the 2 interviewers, stuff happened that was completely unexpected. I had to speak for a full 5 minutes about why I thought I should get this job. For one, I am not a good speaker. I am nothing like I type. I get words wrong. I forget if I've already said things. I said a lot and they had told me not to say it. 5 full minutes of me probably saying the same things over and not remembering if I had said them already. At that point, I felt like I didn't have a chance. Then there were 5 questions that I had to answer. These were not normal questions and they could have had several answers. One was something like a customer calls and asks for their representative who is out sick for the day. They want to know if they got approved for service, but that is something that the representative is supposed to tell them. They start to call repeatedly and cuss at you, calling you names. What do you do? I know for a fact that this was just like a question on the 59-question exam I had to take to even make it to the second interview, so I chose that answer. I told them about remembering that question on the test, and the answer was to go ahead and give them the information that they were requesting. But they gave me an odd look, so I said, or maybe I should speak to a supervisor and see what they tell me how to handle the situation. I felt stupid and didn't feel like I did good with the rest of the questions. I pretty much expected to not hear from them again. They told me that I should hear something in 2 to 3 weeks and walked me out. Yesterday, I was taking my oldest on a college tour and I noticed a voicemail on my phone. I listened to it and it was the company calling me, asking me to call them back. I panicked. Were they calling me to tell me that I did a horrible job and I needed to know that? They had told me they would contact by email whether we got the jobs or not. I nervously called back and they asked if I was still interested in the job. Apparently I had done a lot better than I had thought and they could tell I was nervous. I just have to pass the background check, which is crime and previous work. The only thing I'm worried about is that I have a bankruptcy on my account due to my brain surgery and being sick. I didn't receive disability for 3 years after I had applied in 2009 and I lost my house and car. That was 5 years ago though, that I had filed. I don't have the best credit, but it is not poor credit. So, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everything goes through. Thank you everyone for all of your kind words. It was an amazing feeling reading all of your comments. I have never had so much support in my life. I don't think I would have done very well that day without reading them to keep me positive. I do want to comment on something someone posted that I didn't realize. I had to stop working in 2009, 10 years ago, but my brain surgery was only 8 years ago. So basically 10 years of being disabled, but only from epilepsy. 8 years since brain surgery. Smiley face. Sorry for the confusion. Update, I posted around a month ago the fact that I was going to a job interview. I wasn't expecting to get it, but it was good practice too for all of the future interviews I was sure I'd have to go through. This was a state job and over 30 people had applied. I'd met a lot of them personally, and they definitely seemed more qualified than me. I was 39 years old, female, and a current college graduate with no prior work history in my field of accounting and business. And oh yeah, I was only 8 years old, reborn due to brain surgery and having to relearn every part of my life as I knew it. The first interview was a test. 59 multiple choice questions with a follow-up essay question. For a job interview. I had never even heard of that before. Only 4 of us were called for the second part, and I couldn't believe I was one of them. I thought for sure I had failed it and told myself it was just for practice. I couldn't answer a single question with just one answer. No, my brain had to add in all these things that I mentally regretted. I was told at the end that I wouldn't hear anything for 2 to 3 weeks and thanked them for their time, walking out embarrassed, but okay. The very next day they called me. I had gotten the job. It's been over a month since that day, and I had posted about how nervous I had been before the interview. So many people had given me such kind words and motivation, and I will be forever grateful. I start my new life today, helping people like me figure out their finances, pay their bills, fix their credit, and move forward. Something I never even knew existed, but something I'm sure I'll love. Ever since my revamp in life, I have always wanted to help people, and now I can finally do that. Thanks to all the kind people who helped me get here. Edit. Here are a few pics from 2011, me on starting to learn how to live again. I lost all short-term memory ability, along with a lot of long-term, the ability to read, walk, and talk for about 2 months. I was in a severe depression because I couldn't raise my kids, whom my mother took care of. They are now with me every single day, and I love it. Before surgery, I was having about 30 seizures a day, and now I only get them 1 to 2 times per year. Story 2. I unwittingly created a family with my next-door neighbor. 3 years ago, a woman named Cassie, 32F, and her son Kenny, 13M, moved into the apartment next door. They had a few boxes, so I figured I'd, 31M, offer to help and get off to a good start. I noticed Kenny had a PS4, so I told him that I game as well, and he was free to come over and play my systems anytime he wanted if his mother allowed it. I have a PS5, Switch and PC as an FYI. Since I'm a mechanic, I told Cassie if she had car trouble she could come to me anytime, since I help out a lot of other people on the floor with their cars as well. She accepted. I didn't really interact with either Kenny or Cassie besides a few hays for a few weeks initially. But a little more than a month after moving in, Cassie knocked on my door and asked if I could check her car because the engine wasn't turning over. Turns out the spark plugs needed to be changed, which was easy enough to do. Cassie was very thankful for my help and offered to pay, but I told her it was no problem. She invited me to dinner with her and Kenny, and I was hesitant to accept, but she insisted on it. The next day we had dinner, and it was a good time. I learned a lot about her and talked to Kenny more. He's a good kid, really into games, science, and his guitar. We even all went over to my place for some Mario Kart. From then on I got really close to Kenny. I viewed him like a little brother. He came over to play my games almost every day, and I even started teaching him about cars. I've even brought him to my shop to introduce him to tools. He's a quick study, and he even told Cassie he wants to be a mechanic like me. I told him to aim higher and become an engineer. He's now even looking into engineering programs. I didn't really interact with either Kenny or Cassie besides a few hays for a few weeks initially. But a little more than a month after moving in, Cassie knocked on my door and asked if I could check her car because the engine wasn't turning over. Turns out the spark plugs needed to be changed, which was easy enough to do. Cassie was very thankful for my help and offered to pay, but I told her it was no problem. She invited me to dinner with her and Kenny, and I was hesitant to accept, but she insisted on it. The next day we had dinner and it was a good time. I learned a lot about her and talked to Kenny more. He's a good kid, really into games, science, and his guitar. We even all went over to my place for some Mario Kart. I think Cassie really appreciated our relationship. She became a lot more friendly with me. I got COVID during lockdown, and out of the kindness of her heart she brought me groceries, cleaned my apartment, and even took care of me. I was totally grateful. She even cooks dinner for me every night, and we all have dinner together. She even makes dinner for me when I work late and leaves it in my apartment. The other day Kenny brought one of his friends over to his apartment. I met the friend and he said this is OP, he's like my dad. Not gonna lie, that took me by surprise. I always viewed Kenny as my little brother, but here he is saying that I'm like a dad to him. I asked Cassie about this, and she seemed surprised I even asked. She said that she would never force that role on me, but that he did view me as his father. He even hoped that me and Cassie would get together so that we can be a real family. Cassie then said she wouldn't mind that either. I asked her if she was asking me out, she just smiled and said yes. I was surprised, but said okay. We have a dinner date this weekend, and I'm nervous as all hell. I don't want to ruin things with Cassie and/or Kenny. I really do love both of them. But I'm not sure how I feel about being the father figure for Kenny. It's a lot of responsibility and I'm not entirely sure I'm the guy for that. And Cassie, she's a really amazing woman. I just hope I can measure up to her expectations. In just asking Reddit, are my worries unfounded? Should I put some boundaries between me and Kenny? How do I not screw up with Cassie? TLDR, I unknowingly became the father figure for my next-door neighbor's son and his mom asks me out on a date. Update: I was nervous as hell all week leading up to the date on Saturday. During our usual family dinners, Cassie smiled at me a lot more. I don't think Kenny noticed since he was too busy playing on his phone. Cassie not so subtly suggested to Kenny, 13M, that he go spend a weekend with his grandparents. He didn't really want to, but she pretty much pushed him out the door, lol. On Saturday evening I knocked on Cassie's door, and she opened it up wearing an absolutely beautiful dress. I broke the tension and asked if that dress was for me. She laughed and we went on our way. The evening was a little awkward at first, but when we were walking to the restaurant she grabbed my hand and smiled at me, and it sort of got rid of the awkwardness. From there the evening went amazingly. We talked, laughed, and had a great dinner. I asked her what made her change her mind about me, and she said it was the previous Christmas. For reference, Cassie is a hardworking single mom and Kenny has all of his needs met and more. But she can't afford to get him the best, and it really hurts her that she can't. She really wanted to get him a PS5 since he was begging for one, but couldn't justify the cost. Since I have disposable income, I hunted for months, checking stock drops until I finally got one. I then surprised Kenny with it on Christmas and told him it was from his mom. Cassie was shocked and even started crying. Kenny was so excited he didn't even notice her crying. All she could tell me was thank you repeatedly. Apparently, that made her realize that she wanted me in both of their lives forever. She tried to deny her feelings, but it didn't work. The conversation the other day was the opening she needed to finally confess how she felt. After dinner we went back to her place for a nightcap. We talked a lot about relationship expectations and how we wanted to proceed. We agreed to be exclusive, to take it slow and not to tell Kenny about anything until we're sure that this relationship is real and strong. We don't want to give him unrealistic expectations. She also said that her calling me his dad was too much too soon and she apologized for it. She said it was wishful thinking on her part and probably would have weirded out most people. She said to accept any role with Kenny that I wanted, but she hoped that I would see Kenny as a son eventually. Sorry to disappoint everyone, but we didn't do the deed. We decided that it was much too soon. We did, however, have a buzzed make-out session, lol. The following day we went for brunch and decided to go apple picking. It felt damn good to be walking hand in hand with someone you care about and taking lots of pictures doing silly things. At our family dinner yesterday, Cassie sat close to me and was rubbing her foot on my leg. I don't think I've ever been more turned on in my life, lol. I'm not gonna lie guys, I think I'm falling for Cassie and falling hard. Well anyway, I think that's it, we're together now and hopefully this lasts. I don't think I want anyone else. Cassie is everything one could want in a partner, and I hope that I can be worthy of her. She's a really special person. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, there are a lot of interesting stories ahead of you.